Hi there, welcome back to my channel. My name is Shelby and today I'm going to be doing my weekly reading wrap-up from Monday, October 29th till today, November 4th. I read a total of 6 books. I'm also reading another book, but I'm just going to include it in my next week's wrap-up. I read 3 mystery thrillers, 2 women's fiction, and 1 historical fiction. I've been trying to fit at least 1 historical fiction in a week because I have been slacking on my historical fiction, and I'm really happy so far that I have been meeting my goal. The first book I read this week is Jane Doe by Victoria Helen Stone. I think I saw someone talking about this on Goodreads or BookTube, I'm not sure, but I know that I was recommended it by someone and I absolutely loved this book. It is told in the first person by a girl named Jane. She is a self-proclaimed sociopath and her best friend Meg recently died. She blames someone for Meg's death, so she moves to the town that person lives in. She gets a job at his work and she pretends to be someone to get him to like her and basically manipulates him to seek revenge because Meg is the only person she's ever had feelings toward. And so it was really interesting to see her manipulate this man and have really devious acts toward him. And you were just wondering, like, how bad is it going to get? And the ending of this was really, really good. I enjoyed seeing inside her mind and how she thought and how clever and smart she was when trying to get her way. I thought it was really interesting, a really fast-paced, quick read. It was only 200-something pages. So I'd highly recommend this, 5 out of 5 stars. And then after that, I read Maybe in Another Life by Taylor Jenkins Reid, another 5-star read. I love everything that I've read by her. I think I've given them all 5 stars. She's amazing and all of her books make me cry my eyes out. So this follows a girl named Hannah and she is, I think, 29. She has been juggling from different cities and jobs, so never really settling anywhere. Her last place was New York. She was seeing a married man, and when she discovers he was married, she decides to go back to her hometown of LA, where her best friend is. So she decides she'll move in with her best friend and try and start fresh. So she moves back in with Gabby and her husband. The first night back in LA, they go to a bar to kind of do a welcome back get together, got together with some friends, and among the people there is her ex-boyfriend Ethan, who she hasn't seen in years, but there's definitely still a spark. At the end of the night, Gabby needs to go home, I think for her husband's work, and Ethan wants Hannah to stay out with him. So she needs to choose, does she go home with Gabby or does she stay out with Ethan and have him get her home later? So you basically see what happens if she chooses Gabby or what happens if she chooses Ethan. And it's like Sliding Doors, the movie, if you've ever seen it, where it's kind of alternating between 2 different lives. If she made the choice to stay or go. And in both lives, she is super happy with in the outcome, and she believes she's found her soulmate. And so it makes you question, is everything really because of fate, or is it just a series of decisions that we've made? And is there really one soulmate for everyone? And this was just so good. It tugged at my heartstrings, and I just think it sends a really good message that no choice is a bad choice, and each ending of hers was equally as good, and she still was Hannah and she still was exactly the same, just slightly different in each scenario. And I just thought this was really, really good, and I just love her writing, and I will read everything that she publishes. So like I said, 5 out of 5 stars. And then after that, I read Sweet Little Lies by, don't know how to say her name, I think it's Kaz Freyer. This is the first in a series. I think it's the Kat Kinsella like detective series or something. Like I said, it came out last year in 2017, and the next novel is coming out summer of 2019, so about a year from now. And it was really good. It's a British like a procedural, police procedural. And it's about, like I said, the detective's name is Kat Kinsella. She's in her mid-20s. And there is like suddenly a murder that happened, like a dead body is found of a girl named Alice LePaine, and she is found dead, and she looks kind of familiar to the detective. She's not really sure why, and she is found near her dad's bar that he owns, and it just brings up some memories from her past when she was a teenager, when she was a child. There was a teenager she knew named Marianne Doyle, and she went missing, and her dad lied to the police about her going missing, and she's been wondering all these years why he lied. And she's just really freaked out because not only did he lie about that, but he doesn't have an alibi for the night this lady was murdered. And so she's just like reminded of what happened, and it's kind of alternating between present with a little bit of past intermixed. And this was really good. I loved the detective aspect of it. It took a little while to get into because the first couple chapters were really heavy in the British police world, and I don't really know all the detective words in, England. But after you get through that, it is really good. It's an addicting story. It is quite long, but I felt like I just sped through it, and the mystery was so good. The ending was really good as well, and I'm really looking forward to the next book. I gave this 4.5 stars. Wouldn't say it's a 5-star read, but it's definitely a strong 4 to 4.5 stars. Highly, highly recommend. And then after that, I read Can I See You Again by Allison Morgan. I believe this is her second publication, the first being The Someday Jar. And I didn't really like this one, unfortunately. I picked it up off of Book Outlet and it got pretty good reviews, so I had high hopes. It was about a girl named Bree. She's a matchmaker. She has a 98% success rate, and she's about to release a book that her publicist thinks can be a bestseller, and she needs the money from being a bestseller for some personal things, so she is determined to make her book a bestseller. But her boyfriend breaks up with her like right before it's due to be published, and her publicist says you need a boyfriend or else no one's going to believe your stories about being a matchmaker. Like, who would believe someone who is not in love with anyone? So she gets one of her clients, Nixon, he is one of her failed clients, to pretend to be her boyfriend. And so he keeps pretending to be her boyfriend in interviews and things like that. And then it kind of gets blown up when her ex-boyfriend comes back into her life and threatens to like expose everything that's been going on and basically ruin all the progress she's made. It was cute. It was better the second half. Didn't love it. I thought the characters were pretty flat and I didn't really like Bree very much. So I gave this 2.5 stars. I'm definitely going to pass this book along. Wasn't for me, but it is a really cute cover, so that's something. And then after that, I read An Unwanted Guest by Sherry LaPena. I got this from Half Price Books. I got this UK paperback edition because I didn't want to spend the money on the brand new hardcover. And I actually really, really like this cover. So I heard great things about this book. People who didn't like her other novels, they liked this one. And I did like The Couple Next Door, so I had high hopes for this one. So this is a classic murder mystery. And it is about 10 people who go to stay at this hotel in the middle of New York. I think it's in like the woods. And it's on a weekend and there's an ice storm. So it's some couples, some friends, some single people who are just looking to get away. And several of the employees were unable to make it due to the storm. So the only people there are the owner, that's a dad, and his son, who's I think like 20 something. And they're the only people there to attend to all these guests. Well, everyone is stuck there because an ice storm basically keeps them in, and there's no Wi-Fi, no cell service, and the power goes out. After the first night there, one of the guests is found dead at the bottom of the grand staircase, and it looks like an accident, but one of the people there who's a guest is a lawyer, and he thinks that it is not an accident. And then another person dies, and they realize it definitely wasn't an accident, and the only people that it could have been is the 12 people in that house. So they know one of them is a killer and they can't figure out who it is, and so they are trying to get away and trying to stay awake and figure out who's the killer. And it was just amazing. I loved this book. I gave it 4.5 stars. I love like murder mysteries like this. It wasn't anything gory, but it was a really good mystery, so I highly, highly recommend if you want to pick it up. And then the last book that I read is The Tattooist of Auschwitz by Heather Morris. I saw this was rated really highly. I think it was up for like one of the best historical fictions of this year. And it's just a little book. It's like 250 pages. It is, like I said, a historical fiction. It was really, really good. It is about a guy named Lil. He is from Slovakia, and he's 25 years old when he's put into the Auschwitz concentration camp. And he speaks many languages, so he gets taken notice by a guard and he becomes the tattooist because of his skills. So he basically has to tattoo numbers onto all of the people who come into the camps, and One of his people that he tattoos is a girl named Gita, and he basically falls in love at first sight, and he does everything he can to see her and is promising her that one day we will get out of here and we will get married. And meanwhile, he does everything he can with his position and power to help others. He helps the group of people they call gypsies. I think they're Romanians, and he just helps everyone he can, gives them food and gives them things. And he has kind of a position of power there, but he doesn't abuse it. He does really good things with it. And all he really wants is to get out and be with Gita. This was based on a true story. I thought it was like so beautiful and so touching. Also sad. I feel like it kind of shielded away from some of the gory things that happened. But I thought it was really interesting to see the perspective of someone who was a real person, and the person who gave this story to the writer was their child. So Gita and Lil got out, they had a child, and that child shared this story with Heather Morris, and I thought that was just really great. If you like historical fiction and World War II historical fiction, I highly recommend it. I gave it 4 stars. I have a hard time rating true stories like this. I wish it was a little bit longer, and I didn't really like the ending as much, so I wish there was a little more in the end. But the story about them being at Auschwitz I thought was really, really good. So those are the 6 books that I read this week. Let me know if you guys have any questions and what you guys have been reading. I will link all of these books down below and my Goodreads if you want to be my friend on there, and I will see you guys next week. Bye!